We live in a world where yes is applauded and no feels like a crime. But here's the kicker. Every time you say yes to one thing, you're quietly saying no to something else. Often it's your peace, your sleep, your sanity. Because, I don't know, saying yes just feels generous, but sometimes it can actually be a little selfish because it leads to burnout, resentment, even half hearted follow through. We treat no like it's a four-letter word and it just feels scary, but it may be the most loving thing you can do. What if no isn't a rejection, but actually protection? In this episode, we're going to show you how to say how no makes room for your best yes. Got it.
I noticed Jamie said no to dancing during the intro.
No dancing. I'm embracing this concept of saying no more often, Bill, and I'm starting with you. No dancing.
You know what? I've seen you dance, and I applaud you saying no.
Anybody who's seen me dance applauds that decision.
So, absolutely, saying yes feels sometimes Christ-like, generous, even loving.
Hmm?
But saying yes to everything? You kidding me? It'll leave. I mean, you can't. So too many. I think Jamie. Too many people just they don't want to hurt anybody else's feelings, so they say
I
yes.
think I think that's it
I
exactly.
don't
I
want.
think that is
I don't want to hurt your
I don't want to hurt
feelings.
your feelings, so I'll just say yes. Even while I'm saying yes, in my heart, I'm like, I should be saying no to this.
Yeah.
But I say yes anyway, which means I go and do the thing, whatever it is I said yes to, but now I'm actually doing it out of resentment most of the time. Or, while I'm doing, I'm like, man, I wish I wasn't having to do this. I wish I would have said no.
Yes. I'll do it. They know you don't want to do it when you say it that way.
Sure. But yet we get into that trap of like I have to say yes because like you said, it's the nice thing to do. I don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. I want to be helpful. I want to be, I want to be, I want to be Christ-like. So, you know, so
Well,
I am trying to be helpful, but in the end, if we're doing something out of resentment or we're only doing it half-heartedly, who are we really serving at that point?
exactly. Exactly. So there's this
We're not.
movie. There's this movie that I have never seen by Jim Carrey called Yes Man, where something happens where is he can't say no to whatever anybody asks. And that's the whole movie. That's the premise of the movie. He can't say no. He must say yes. Now, I've never seen the movie because it's just never been on my radar. It's something that just doesn't appeal to me. But imagine trying to go through life saying yes to absolutely everything because you don't want to hurt someone's feelings. You don't want to cause a problem in the family. All those kinds of
Well,
things.
so I just this popped in my head when you're saying it's another Jim Carrey movie, Bruce Almighty, where he's actually given God's abilities or whatever, and he starts saying yes to everybody's prayers. He answers everybody's prayers, and it gets into all kinds of problems, right? So I think we that can happen to us is like if I keep saying yes, I'll find myself overwhelmed, but I'll also find myself probably getting myself into trouble because I can't accomplish everything, or you know, you just start getting overwhelmed, and then it probably leads to how I treat people too. Because if I'm feeling overwhelmed and stressed and all of that, how do I end up treating people?
Yeah, I mean, just saying yes to everything is just absolute lunacy. But we need to learn how to say no graciously as well. No in such a way
Yes.
that it's like, no, I don't want to do it. Is kind of a rude way of
Well,
shooting people down, as it were.
and I think the hard part is that when we do say no, we feel like we have to give a whole bunch of excuses or reasons, and like like can't I just say no? Like the timing isn't right for me, or I have enough other things that I'm working on that I wouldn't be able to put in my best effort.
Right, right. There's an obvious godly example of saying no. like many, many, many times.
Many.
Many times. God said no many times. I don't want to do this. No, you're doing it. Okay.
Okay. Here's the thing is, so I mean, now we're talking about obedience, right?
Yes.
Is I may not want to do it, but if I'm being directed by God, I can say no and choose not to do it, but now I'm not being obedient. Or I can say yes and at the same time still not want to be doing it.
Yeah, and there's an attitude going on there. I mean that could even flow into work. You say yes to something that you seriously don't want to do, not in your job description, don't want to do it, even maybe not in your wheelhouse, but the boss asks you to do it. And what does the boss get? He gets a half-hearted effort and not a great result because he basically asked the wrong person. You could blame the boss for it because we blame the boss for many things anyway. Uh,
Sure. That's why the boss exists to be able to blame things on.
right? Well, the buck stops with him. Let's be honest. They just don't know it yet.
I went out to eat with my mom and dad the other day, and there was a sign on the wall, like you go into those restaurants, so they got like the funny little signs, and it said, "I didn't say, I didn't say that you were at fault. I just said I was going to blame you."
Yeah.
So
So
that's why the boss exists.
right,
They're not necessarily wrong. I'm going to just use them as a thing to blame.
right.
So I mean, so what about this idea, like by saying no? What if it's not necessarily a rejection? I'm not rejecting you or your request by saying no, but maybe it's a more of a redirection of I'm not going to do it because I'm not the most equipped, or I'm not going to be able to do it to the best of my ability, which is not serving you. But it gives you the opportunity as a redirection to say, okay, I can find somebody else that maybe is better equipped to do this, and they're going to do it better than I would.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, my mind went blank. My mind said no to speaking, and yet here I am still talking. Yeah. I like the idea of redirection. We're willing to say no to the good sometimes, so that we can say yes to something that's better. And I think that's a lot of time how God says you need to say no to some of these things, Bill, because if you say no to them, I've got something better for you. I'm not going to show you what it is yet, but you got to say no to this first, and then
Yeah.
something better is what's waiting for you. But
Well, and I mean, how many times does God tell us no? Because He's got something better in store for us, and then it's the matter of can I be obedient and but please, God, please,
well,
I really want this.
who was it that he did that to in the Old Testament? This is not in the notes. This is very random, but he said no. Uh, he said, no, I want to stay here on earth for a little longer. He says, okay, but the last few years, you're going to find out why I wanted you to not be on earth now.
Come
Was
home.
was that Solomon? No.
But I think what we're talking about here is like, can we have healthy boundaries? And I've always heard this statement that people will treat you the way that you allow them to treat you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're not talking about people necessarily treating you poorly or bad, but if you're the person that always says yes to everything, who are they always going to go to?
The person that always says yes.
The person that always says yes. And so if we're able to create some healthy boundaries and say, I'm not going to say no to you just because I don't want to do it. There is the reason. And the reason is I've got too many other things. I'm not equipped. I don't know how to do it well. There's probably other people in your life that could do it better than I do. And that serves both of us. So it kind of protects our yes. So that way I say no to the things that I know I would not be able to do to the best of my ability.
Right.
And I have relationships that if I say no to somebody, that they respect that. And they don't necessarily even need a reason. I mean, I can provide a reason, but they're okay with it
Yeah.
because we've built that boundary, which then means when I do say yes to things, you're going to get my 100% effort because I've said yes to it, meaning I believe I can do this very, very well. I've got the time for it. and I can give it my best effort. So you're going to get a better result when I say yes than if I say yes just because I feel guilty or whatever, or I feel coerced or whatever it
Right.
is.
So in Matthew 5, verse 37, it says, "Let your yes be yes and your no be no."
Mhm.
Emphatic about it. If you're going to say no, say no. If you're going to say
Right.
yeah, if you're going to say yes, be all in.
Yep.
But if you're going to say
And
no, be all in on your no.
and I think that's the key, right? Is like if I say yes, I am saying yes wholeheartedly, knowing I am going to fulfill your request to the best of my ability. You're going to get my 100% effort. And on the other side of it, if I say no, then I'm not going to allow you to, you know, plead and beg and coerce me into doing it. No, I've said no, so that's what it is. So how do we move forward with that, Bill? How do we do that?
Well, I mean, think about the idea that every time you say no wisely, you say less to something greater. You say
Mhm.
yes to peace of mind. You say yes to the purpose God has for you. You say yes to God's priorities instead of people pleasing. And that's kind of something we haven't quite brought up, but saying yes to too many things is you're just trying to please people.
Trying to
Try,
please everyone.
trying to
Well,
please everybody.
there's the old saying like if everything's a priority, nothing's a priority. Well,
Hmm.
if you're saying yes to everybody, then you ultimately are saying no to some people because I'm gonna either things are gonna fall through the cracks. You're not gonna get my best effort. I'm gonna forget to do it. You're gonna be delayed in getting it done because I got all these other things I got to do, whatever it is. And at the same time, I'm not I'm not taking care of myself either.
Yes.
Is,
Or
is that an emphatic yes, Bill?
it's an emphatic yes. So, so here's what I want you to do. Where in your life are you saying yes out of guilt
Mm,
instead of calling? And how might a loving no actually serve someone better than a reluctant yes?
mm.
Now I'm going to say that again because it seems a little. It's a long single sentence. I'm say it again. Where in your life are you saying yes out of guilt instead of calling? And how might a loving no actually serve someone better than a reluctant yes? Loving no instead of a reluctant yes. Now, for some things
I
it
think
doesn't. For some things it doesn't matter.
sure.
I don't want to. I don't want to eat Chinese food tonight. But you know what? If that's what you want, I will.
Yeah.
That doesn't matter, depending upon the Chinese
Well,
restaurant.
well, and I think what we're talking about here is it's preventing ourselves to become overcommitted.
Right.
I think that's what we're talking about. Or it may not even be overcommitment. It's just that I don't have the skill set. And there's somebody out there that has a better skill set than I am. So you're going to get a better result having somebody else do it versus me. I think that's a great place to wrap this up. I love the idea of like be prepared for saying a firm, loving no versus that reluctant yes that is just there because I feel guilty or I'm trying to please.
Right. You're not just trusting God by saying yes to many things. You're also trusting God by leaning into the no that you actually need to be able to say no to.
I like it.
Good. That's Jamie.
That's Bill.